This is a little video to show what I carry in my day sack outside of winter conditions. So a summer pack, maybe 3-season. Usually I start reducing what I carry to this sometime in May when the weather warms up, and I usually start adding things for colder weather and winter sometime in October when the weather's starts to become more wintry again. But for that period between roughly mid-May to mid-October, this is what I carry, and with the assumption that the weather can always change drastically in the Scottish Highlands, which is where I do all my day walking, so you have to be prepared to some extent for anything. And also that in event of something going drastically wrong, a leg injury or getting lost, I might end up spending a night out, and if so, I want to be comfortable enough that come morning I can walk out again. Of course, this time of year you're only talking about 3 or 4 hours of semi-darkness, so the night is not long if you have to wait it out. Anyway, to start with the pack itself. Now, this is a 30-litre pack, which, as you can see, it's not full, it's slightly bigger than needed, which I prefer because it's easier to get things in and out than in a smaller pack, tucked tight. And I do carry some extra camera gear. There's a little tripod in here. I should say, with all the items of gear, I'm not generally recommending specific items, but rather examples. In all cases, there are plenty of other similar things that will do the job about the same. So, I'm not specifically endorsing something as in necessarily better than anything else, but these are obviously all things that I've used a lot and find work fine for me. And the thing with a pack like this is it's got plenty of pockets. There's a little one here on the top, which I'll show you what's in soon. It's a big stretchy one on the front. I really like front stretchy pockets because you can put wet gear in them. So if you've been wearing your waterproofs in a rainstorm and then it clears up, but they're still really wet, you can put them in here. They don't wet the other contents of the pack, and they will slowly dry out through this mesh. There's big mesh side pockets as well. There are hip belt pockets. So there's plenty of space to put things you might want during the day without having to open the pack itself. And it hasn't got one of the big sprung backs, but it's got a bit of ventilation that stops your back getting too sweaty. And I find this a good compromise between a body hugging pack, which is incredibly stable, and one that has a huge air gap and curves away from your back, but it's not very stable. So, as I say, a pack like this works well for me, and generally I may well be wearing some of the clothing that's in the pack depending on conditions, but my usual outfit for summer is some fairly light trail pants, of which there are innumerable ones on the market. I have several pairs, and a hiking or trekking shirt, made of synthetic material, breathes quite well, slightly wind resistant, doesn't wick as well as a specialist base layer, but I find the specialist base layers in summer are a bit too warm and sticky. And the one thing with this is to have it loose, so there's plenty of airflow inside. You can roll the sleeves up if it's really hot and undo the front for ventilation. I also like the fact that it's got big pockets. So for me, for any sort of trail shirt I'm going to wear much, large pockets are important because they can carry all sorts of things, phone, compass, not in the same pocket, because you don't want to ruin the compass by having it too near the phone, and other items that are easily to hand. But basically, there are, again, lots of trail shirts. And that's what I basically wear. That's what I would wear if I was going for a walk now, further than here, because there's a slight breeze. It's not very sunny, and a little thermometer I have dangling from the pack says that it's 20 degrees Celsius. So it's not cold, but it's not hot. It's not a heat wave. It's not, you know, shorts and sandals quite weather. And on my feet, which I don't think will show up, there they are, I have lightweight trail shoes without a waterproof breathable membrane, because I find shoes like that too hot in these conditions. I'd rather have wet feet from puddles, rain, and let them dry out than have hot, sweaty feet that swell up, go soft, and are likely to blister. So shoes like this are what I wear by choice, again, outside of winter and cold conditions. And of course, with footwear, these ones fit me because they're a very wide fit at the forefoot, and I've got wide feet. They may be totally unsuitable for somebody's whose feet are different shape to mine. As always with footwear, the fit is crucial. But luckily, in these type of shoes, there's a huge range. Everyone should be able to find something that fits them. Now, on the outside of the pack, one essential all year round, but especially at this time of year, is to have plenty of water. In winter cold conditions, I'll carry a flask with a hot drink in, but the rest of the year I don't. For day walks, I prefer a metal flask. It keeps the contents cooler, and you don't get any taste if you've had different drinks in it beforehand. Backpacking, I'll take a plastic bottle simply because it's lighter weight, though actually it's probably not a significant difference. But anyway, a bottle of water is essential. If I'm going somewhere where I don't expect to find any water en route, I'll take 2. But generally, again, in the Scottish Highlands, there's usually a water source somewhere. This is an 800ml bottle. The other side pocket is snacks. Now, I don't take a lunch in a box that I think of as lunch, because I don't generally stop and have lunch. I stop and have lots of snacks. So what I take is a collection of different bars that, you know, every so often, if I'm somewhere that sells bars that look interesting, I'll buy something and add it. So I've always got, you know, 5 or 6 bars, everything from, you know, ones from outdoor shops, you know, to sort of designed for outdoor adventure, and ones from the local co-op that aren't, but seem to work just as well. But that goes in an outside pocket, so that if I stop and feel I'll have a swig of water and a snack, it's easily available. Now, say, if it's rain is forecast, or if it has been raining, waterproofs go in here. The last 2 walks I've done, there hasn't been a forecast for rain at all. There has been a forecast for strong winds, and on the summits there was strong winds. There was a light shower on one day, but not enough for waterproof. So I don't have the waterproofs in here. But what I have is a very light wind shirt, which I've had long enough that any water resistance it had when new is long gone, and I haven't bothered to renew it, because the main thing I want from something like this is breathability and windproofness. I'm not going to wear it if there's any significant rain, or if I am, I'm going to have a waterproof on top of it. So the water resistance doesn't frankly matter. But the point is, this is very small, you know, so you can see very, very light, and it'll keep off the wind. It's not, again, a winter jacket. It's not adequate in strong, cold winter winds, but again, for outside of winter conditions, that's fine. Also in here, I have a sun hat, which I wouldn't be wearing today because there's very little sunshine, but if it's sunny, I can easily put that on and keep the sun out of my eyes, off my face. And also in here is something that also works as a sun hat, but also as a slightly warm hat. It's a paramo cap because it's got the paramo lining in it. And I was wearing this a couple of weeks ago on a walk on Cairngorm when the wind on top was really strong. And first of all, this blew off and I had to rescue it. This has got a neck strap, so you do that up, it's not going to blow off. You've still got a peak to protect against the sun, and it keeps your ears warm in a cold wind. Again, I'd want something warmer than this in cold winter conditions, but at this time of year it's fine. Now, to go into the pack proper, which is easy to do with this one because it's got a zip round top, quite a big zip. Oh yes, the top pocket. Forgot the top pocket, should go into that. In the top pocket, I've got a buff just in case it's a bit cooler than expected. I have got a tiny headlamp because you barely need one at this time of year, but I must admit I don't feel I'm properly equipped if I haven't at least got a tiny headlamp like this, but this time of year it is all I carry. And this is the weather recorder, which of course is not an essential item, but if I want to know the wind speed, the temperature, the humidity and so on, I've got this, and it lives in the top pocket. A safety item, which is the Garmin InReach, which I can use to signal in an emergency, and if I'm going to be late home for some reason and I haven't got a phone signal, I can use this to send a message home to say, don't worry, I'm going to be late. Because I always leave a message with my partner so she knows when to expect to hear from me, that I'm back at the car and will soon be on my way home. Also in here is compass, which these days does not get very much use because I mostly use the phone for navigation and with mapping, but I still wouldn't be without it. And dark glasses for when it's really bright and sunny, but particularly when it's bright and sunny and very windy, and I don't want to wear that hat because it would be too warm, and any other hat will keep blowing off. And these are really good then for keeping the sun out of your eyes. So put them back in their little bag. Well, I'll do that later. And a map. This is the smallest Cairngorm map I've got. It is 1/40,000. It's a Harvey's map. And obviously it doesn't cover a huge area, but if it covers where I'm going, which is mainly the main part of the Cairngorms, then it's all I need, and it's tiny. If I think I'm going to use it, I can put it in a shirt pocket. But again, I always take either a Harvey's or an OS map. And then two essentials in summer are sunscreen, which I need to get new ones soon. This is almost empty, which again, I wouldn't use today, but on a walk a few weeks ago, I used this twice during the day because I was in blazing sunshine and high up where I was not in any shade. And the other thing, of course, is midge repellent, which is crucial. I've only used it once so far this year because it's been fairly breezy for quite a while, or it's been brilliantly sunny when the midges don't come out, and it's also been quite dry, which tends to reduce the numbers of them. But I'm sure at some point in the next couple of months this will become absolutely essential, so I certainly wouldn't be without it. Then inside the pack, well, as I said, that's my little tripod, which I would use if I was doing something like this high up in the hills and I wasn't going to carry the big tripod, which my camera's on at the moment, but also if I'm taking landscape shots in the evening when the light is low. I've got this, which I think no professional photographer would really take something like this seriously, but it works for me. And then I've got what's effectively a sit mat, which works as extra padding in the back of the pack. This is the OMM Duo mat, which opens out quite big. As a sit mat, I usually use it like that, but it did mean again that, you know, if I had to spend any time out, I've got a longish mat to sort of lie on. It's it provides some insulation and a little cushioning, and of course if the ground's wet it keeps you dry, but I certainly wouldn't go without some sort of sit mat, you know. And then I have a ditty bag, a little stuff sack, this one zipped one with various things inside it. This is another summer crucial thing, which is a mid-net, but this is, you know, the wonderful Midge Specs, which came out just last year and are by far and away the best midge net I've used, because they've got these big built-in glasses, which means that instead of looking through awkward mesh and having a blurred vision of the world, you have clear glasses to look through and you can see everything perfectly well. So I think these are a brilliant adventure. These are one of the few things where I will say this is the best one you can get. As I say, with most things there's all sorts of alternatives that will work just as well. This is unique as far as I know, and I certainly thoroughly recommend it. Also in here I have reading glasses in a hard case, which in low light I would need for looking at the map, possibly even the phone. Often I don't use them because if it's bright enough I can still see things close to well enough, but I wouldn't be without them just in case. First aid kit, which, you know, goes with me all year round. A notebook and pens for recording anything I want to write down. Again, not an essential item for most people, but as a writer it's essential for me. And then a little ditty bag inside the ditty bag with various things in. I always have some just in case toilet paper and hand sanitizer, and for the phone and anything else that needs recharging, but especially the phone, I have a battery pack and a cable. On day walks I very rarely use this because I nowhere near use up the phone's battery, but I still take it just in case. So this is all the stuff that lives in there. I then have, in case I'm caught out, or if I decide to watch the sunset from a summit and it's a bit chilly, a lightweight synthetic filled jacket. A down jacket would be slightly lighter, but I can wear this if it's raining. It doesn't matter if it gets wet. I mean, I've had it soaked and it still kept me warm. It dries very quickly. It doesn't weigh very much. It's windproof, so it's a bit more versatile than a fleece. So I always take that. We're getting lower down in the pack now. waterproof jacket, a lightweight waterproof jacket, but even if the forecast for a heat wave in the Scottish Highlands, I'd never go without a waterproof jacket. And of course, along with the waterproof jacket are waterproof trousers. These ones with a full length zip, so it's easy to pull them on, you know, over your boots or shoes. And these are used even less than a jacket, but again, I wouldn't be without them. And then right at the bottom, because these things hardly ever see daylight, there's a bothy shelter. This is a 2-person one. I can sit at one end of it and my rucksack can prop up the other end. But it's an emergency item. I can't remember when I last actually used it. And a bivvy bag for the same purpose. Again, an ultralight one. It's a simple bivvy bag, no zips, no poles, nothing like that, because I'm not planning on using it. I think I've used this once in the last 2 years, which was on a backpacking trip, not on a day trip. But again, it's useful to have sitting in the bottom of the pack just in case I need it. And that's what I take basically on any day walk at this time of year and through till the middle of October. Camera gear, and my phone is in the camera bag, is separate. I take the camera that I'm photographing this on and the lens, but again, most people will probably be happy enough using their phone for photos. If I was taking photos for personal use only, I probably would too, but I'm always taking photos that might end up being published, so I still take camera and lenses. Anyway, I hope that is of interest.